Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. Are you excited? Stuart said there will be fire. I think he was just watching an act in Tel Aviv, but we are just 24 hours away from the most exciting music show on earth. I am talking about the Eurovision Song Contest Grand Final, and I've got an absolute smorgasbord of panelists ready to give their views on semi-final 2, which took place last night. Now, before we get started, let's do the general admin. You know the drill by now, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button. Comment, get involved in the chat room. Elliot's going to be there taking your comments as well. And afterwards, take a relaxing stroll. Listen to us. Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Anyway, we must get on straight away because there is just so much to talk about, and I'm not biased in any way at all. So, last night, 18 countries took part. From them, Switzerland, Denmark, Sweden, Malta, Russia, Albania, Norway, Netherlands, North Macedonia, and Azerbaijan made it through to the final. And we're going to ask the panel exactly what they thought of last night's qualifiers. So, let's introduce the panel. Good evening, Elliot.
Hello, hi everyone, back again.
Now, Elliot, you're going to be monitoring the chat room for us this evening. Okay, so guys, this is the person to speak to. Okay, submit your views and everything, and also don't forget to rib him a little bit that Malta got announced last.
Please don't. That's the third year running. My favourite actress in the last thing qualified. My heart will give out next year if it happens again. I can't do it.
Also, a very good evening to Gustav.
Hello, everyone. I'm back again too.
Fantastic. And you know what? It's nice to see that you've actually made it home this week.
Yeah, I'm not stuck on a train this week. It's nice.
Yeah, there were a few transport difficulties, so Gustav couldn't make Wednesday's show. Also, very, very good evening to Louise.
Hello. Happy Eurovision week, everyone.
Happy Eurovision to you, Louise. A very good evening to a very relieved Nicholas from Denmark.
Hello, we got through. All is well.
Love is forever.
Yes.
Live from Tel Aviv and not watching the jury final, we say a very good evening to Oben.
Shalom, shalom, Europe.
Yeah, we can tell the person that's been screaming and shouting all week as well. We say a massive hello to Ness.
Hello. Am I? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. Shalom.
You are here and live. And also, for the first time, breaking her ESC Fan TV duck, we say a very, very warm welcome to Ariana from Greece.
Hello, everybody.
So fantastic to have you here, and we're looking forward to you sharing your opinions this evening as well.
Thank you so much.
Without further ado, let's crack on and look straight away at these qualifying acts. And you know what? I'm going to go straight away to Ariana. Just to open up tonight's discussion, what act were you most pleased to see qualify last night?
Actually, it was Sweden. I was expecting it. Everybody was expecting it. But it was my favorite song. It's my bop. I hear it 24/7. So I was very pleased.
Brilliant.
I like this young lady. Can we have her again?
I was going to say, someone who I do believe may be supporting you in this, Ariana, is Ness. Ness, what did you think of John's performance last night?
Oh, bless him. He gave it his all, didn't he? I heard there was some rumours that he might have mimed. Was it the night before, Oben, at one of the cafe appearances? But I think he needs to save his voice because, he really put full effort into last night. And I thought the mamas were just fantastic. I don't know, compared to other sets, I think he could have had sort of better staging. But then the song stands on its own really well. So maybe I'm just being a bit like I want to gild the lily, as they say. But no, I thought it was fantastic. Lots of energy. And he just always seemed really humble and overwhelmed at the end of it. And I still feel that's really genuine. So love him. Love Sweden. And can I just say, can you see what's on my nails?
Ah, amazing.
And can you see what's on my other nails?
Hey!
Yay! And I'm not wearing my Too Late for Love t-shirt, which I have ordered from Redbubble. It's arrived. Katie and I have both got one, Tom, for tomorrow, but we're not going to get sweaty in them tonight. So we're going to save them for the 11-hour sesh tomorrow. So
I'll be honest. This is literally being worn for the show. That's it. So it's literally
that's
just
fine.
That's
fine. We'll spray you. It's fine if it gets too much.
I don't know how I feel about that. One person I am going to go to is obviously Gustav from Sweden. Now, Gustav, I've got a question to put to you because it's something that came up in the discussion we were having during the semi-final last night. Do you think John held his voice back a bit last night because he was certain he was going to make it through and needed, higher priorities such as the grand final?
I'm not really sure. My opinion was that it was probably something wrong with the mixing or something. But if he held back, that's good because I want him to give his all on Saturday.
And were you happy with the Mamas performance as well?
Yeah, the Mamas are the best part of the show. I love them so much.
They are brilliant. They are.
Yeah, totally.
It's the harmonies I love. Oh.
Yeah, especially the one closest to him to the, I don't know, sides, whatever. Let's leave it there.
And Ariana, as you may have guessed, this is like so many people's bop in here, because we are just this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's face it, Ness, I think he asked Ness to marry her, I think, or she took it as a marriage proposal at one point when we saw him at LEP. I think the evidence is there, isn't it, Ness?
Do you know what? He was just a delight, wasn't he? I think the moment for me at London Eurovision preview party was when he came up and watched Michael singing his song, essentially. And he was just as enthusiastic, I believed, to see that being performed well. He's obviously got a genre style. He's got his own style of music. It involves a lot of the Mama's sort of gospel-y backing singers. It's uplifting. He's a really nice guy. So yeah, I can't praise him enough. And maybe, I mean, going back to the mic problems or the sound problems, I thought they were pretty evident in semi-final one, but last night it was even worse. And I don't know what's going on with the microphones or the sound engineers or the balancing, but I really hope they get it right tomorrow because it's a bit unfair on the artists to, I don't know whether they're aware that the viewing audience is getting, some interesting sound issues, shall we say. It's not really fair.
I'm confident they will. Now, we move on. There is someone else I'm dying to talk to. We've already mentioned it once. We can't, go without mentioning this. The last qualifier announced last night was Michaela from Malta, qualifying for the first time since 2016's Era Losco's Walk on Water. Elliot, what did you make of Michaela's performance, even?
Well, I think she had great personality and great fun with it. Like, that's the most relaxed we've seen her. Like, when the camera's right there at the beginning, like, and when the door opened, it flooded in, like, she had like a shocked expression. Like, she hammed it up basically, and that really worked. She did dip a little bit in the middle. It wasn't perfect, and I will, as much as I love Comedian and it's my favorite song, I won't say it's perfect if it's not. It had a rough minute, but she recovered for the ending. I think she did a really good job, and I'm really happy that she qualified because this deserves to be in the final. Her being called last was a bit mean because, she's only 18. She has all this pressure on her from Malta and Europe because the fans love the song. But at the same time, it did give us a beautiful moment in the green room where she just burst into tears from joy and all her dancers just gave her a massive hug. But the song was great. The staging really works. I really love that staging. I think it's so clever and so tight and dynamic. And if she does that again tonight and tomorrow, just with a bit more confidence, Malta could easily get a top 10 result, I feel like.
And Louise, do we think that Malta are on course for that top 10 result?
Oh, for sure. I was so happy. I have to echo everything Elliot said. so happy for her. Like you could just tell how much it meant to her, judging by her reaction. I mean, I was out in Dublin City last night with other Euro fans watching it in a bar. So like I just flipped out when she qualified. I didn't even get to see her reaction because I was so excited and my friends were so excited. I knocked over my friend's phone. But when I got home and I sat down and I actually got to kind of rewatch the announcement of the qualifiers, I was in tears at her tears. It was so beautiful. I know she's been drawn to open the show, which a lot of people don't seem to be as enthusiastic about for her, but I really don't think that's a bad thing. I think that the first half of the final is a little bit, I don't want to say weaker, but it's not as exciting maybe as the second half in terms of the acts that are there. It's maybe a little bit quieter. I think she is a great way to open the show. She's a great vocalist. A lot of people love the song. I would love her to win. I don't know if that's in her reach now, particularly as she's opening the show. But in terms of a top 10 result, she's absolutely on course for it, in my opinion.
It's nice to see some Maltese support. And you know what? I hope the United Kingdom did give its fair share of votes to Malta last night. It would have been nice to see, shall we say?
It's the kind of song that would appeal to an Irish and UK audience, I think. I could imagine it on the radio here, you know?
Yeah, a lot of first-time listeners in the UK really did enjoy Malta from what I could see and my friends did. And I definitely voted for her several times, so...
goes without saying, really, doesn't it, Elliot?
Yeah. I mean, was I not going to vote
voted
for her?
10 times for it.
Oh, well, I had other countries to vote for. One country I did vote for, actually, on behalf of my parents, which would please Nicholas greatly, was Denmark.
Yay!
Leonora, what did you make of her performance, Nicholas?
I was so pleased. You know, I think we were all a little bit worried about her vocals. You know, we've seen her on Dance Melodi Grand Prix, and obviously that was her first try at being on a big stage. She was very nervous. It was very clear. But like, she's just spent so much time the past couple months rehearsing and getting ready for this big show. She sounded great. I think, you know, we took the concept from our national final and made it even better. I love the idea of having the two backing singers on the chair with her. And I like the idea of her climbing up to the chair instead of just being like lifted up. She seems just so much more comfortable with this. We don't get the whole like death stare that a lot of people were talking about. So I was really pleased. I was really happy that we got through. I was really worried, and now hearing how close semifinal 2 has been, and like how there's only like 1 point between like the final qualifier and then 11th place, like it makes me worried that we are down at the bottom and we may not get that many scores tomorrow. But I'm hopeful. Because I really like the song. I think in a year where there's so much like focus on big songs, big radio hits, lots of bass, I think it's just nice to have this like nice fun song that just reminds you of that love is important and that we should all love each other. I think that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I'm going to bring Ariana in on this. And do you think that it's the simplicity of Denmark that actually helps them stand out a lot this year?
Actually, yes. I love the song, but I wasn't expecting it to qualify. But once they announced that Denmark went through, I was like so happy. Like I was expecting Armenia or Croatia to qualify in her place. But when I heard Denmark, I was so happy because this song, it was stuck in my mind for a month. When it went out, like I loved it.
And Ness, do you think that it's the kind of message, I mean, if we think about certainly the way the world is at this exact moment in time, do you think it's got a message that's going to really resonate with the audience tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think it's simplicity. It's the fact that she uses lots of different European languages within the song. Yeah, and there's nothing offensive about it. It's a sweet song. And I think it would appeal to a wider range of the audience, age range wise. For it's not my cup of tea, but I'm so well invested, as you know, in certain other countries' songs. But I can absolutely see the appeal, and I think this could be an absolute surprise top 5 finisher, actually, because I think it's got over its biggest hurdle, as it were. I think now it's got through to the final, but we're going to discuss running order later. But yeah, I think it stands a good chance.
And I think Leonora will relax a lot now, because she's actually done the hard work. She's through, you know.
And she's so sweet. She's so lovely. I've seen a bunch of interviews with her and seen her on Danish television and radio. She's so lovely, and you know, she's just really happy to be there. She's just having fun, and I don't think it really matters to her if you know we do good or not, because to her, like, getting to this, obviously she's a competition person. She's done like all this ice skating when she was younger. Obviously she's competition minded, but I think she really just enjoys being there, and I think that's the most important. And can I just say about the language thing, you know, no matter what happens with this song, what brings me so much joy is the fact that even if it's just a few lines, the fact that we heard Danish being sung on the Eurovision stage for the first time since 1997, it means a lot to me, because it is a shame, even the times that we've had really good Danish entries in our song contest, we've translated it to the most basic English ever, and it didn't have the same kind of vibe that it had when it was in Danish for a lot of our old songs in like the beginning of the 2000s. It's so nice, and I really hope that this gives the possibility of maybe someday in a couple of years we'll be able to have a song in full Danish in Eurovision again.
And do you know what? And I think that would be good to see. Although I have to be honest, Nicholas, I would kind of stop at them bringing back. Was it the rapper from 1997?
Jeg går og føler mig lidt ensom, fordi jeg savner en, der lever mit liv med det, jeg ved er
I'm
et problem.
oh my god, crikey!
It's the worst entry we ever sent, but I love it. It's so cheesy, and like if you understand the lyrics, it's not better. Trust me.
Well, I do remember a certain British commentator saying that it was something to do with a lady from Directory Inquiries.
That's correct.
So.
Yes, having a crush on that lady, that's the whole song.
Only in Eurovision. Now,
you just got to love the Danes, haven't you?
Anyway, we must move on. We're only 3 qualifiers down. We've got 7 to go. And Oben, don't worry, I have not forgotten you. I have a question for you, because the god that is Jon Ola Sands took to Twitter today and said there was 1 point between 10th and 11th. Oben, using your mystical powers, predict for us, what do you think came in 10th place last night?
I would like to think that the 10th was, I'm so sorry for my voice, by the way. It was a rough night last night. In the Eurovision village, it was 50,000 people watching it together. And it was almost impossible to talk to the person next to you. So they're yelling all the time. So I think that Denmark was the 10th and Austria was the 11th. And I would like to think it lasted that way. Yeah.
And what act do you think, what act were you most surprised to see go through last night?
Look, surprise Denmark. With all respect, all the positivity of the song carries with it. I think it was look, I have to tell, I followed the whole Eurovision here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, through at the Eurovision village, and the first semi-final, it was empty. It's hardly 1,000 people were there, and last night it was packed. So the second semi-final was something, obviously, for everyone, and it was tough to pick 10 countries, but I have to say, in Eurovision village, by mile, the biggest reaction was given to Norway. So it gave a whole new take on the Norwegian song, the Norwegian entry. Everybody in my side is just singing along, moving along, and just jumping and reacting to the song. So it actually made an impact on me as well.
And for you, Norway's entry. We've talked before how we think that the qualification chances of Norway weren't perhaps as high as they could have been. Was that kind of a fear unrealized for you? Was the performance better than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, actually, look, I have to tell, we attended a Eurovision event on Wednesday, and the change for me started there, because they came almost towards the end of the show. They were like 17 or 18th act to go on stage on the event, and it was 2:30. They had their semi-final the next day, no, that day actually, and they not even sang the Spirit in the Sky, but they also did a cover of Shallow, amazing cover. So I can see how much they put the effort, and they love every moment they spend here in Israel, and they put so much effort, and they want this. So I think they're gonna do better than whatever everybody thought of. So that's what I'm gonna say, and I think they're gonna be finishing maybe top 7, top 8, top 7, somewhere there.
I have to say, I mean, I was someone who did think Norway was going to end up being a surprise non-qualifier, because when I've seen it before, I haven't actually seen that much of a connect with the audience, and I think this time round there was actually more of a connect there, and they also seemed to act as a group, which is something that I think they haven't necessarily conveyed enough when they've performed the song. They have when they've kind of interacted and you've interviewed them and you've seen them chatting and stuff on stage. Now I'm going to bring Gustav in on this. So when Sweden hosted in 2016, I do believe it was Mans Zemelo that said, Sweden gets 12 points from Norway, it's simply just good taste. Do you think this is going to be the reverse situation come tomorrow evening?
No, I don't think so. I think Norway will get points from Sweden, but I think we will go for something more Swedish-ish, if you know what I mean, something more poppy.
I think
maybe
we go Azerbaijan.
Yeah, probably Azerbaijan, maybe Malta, even though I personally can't stand that song. I'm sorry, everyone. But yeah, I think it's going to be Azerbaijan.
And what did you make of the Norway entry, though?
What? Sorry.
What did you make of the Norway entry, their performance?
I loved it. I loved them since I saw them at the Melody Festival and pre-party. I think if you see them live, you will love them, because they have so much energy and they're just happy, and yeah. Now,
last year, obviously, Norway created a record that they possibly aren't too pleased of having. The fact that they won the second semi-final and then finished 15th in the final. Actually, the worst showing of a semi-final winner in Eurovision ever in the grand final. I come to Louise. Do you think Norway are going to improve on that 15th this year?
Ooh, it's such a strong final. They could. If I had a magic ball, I would be predicting maybe 10th to 15th. I don't know if they'll quite make the top 10. I think a lot of their support is going to be really driven by televote. And on that, about live performance of Norway, it's twice I've observed, because particularly as a Euro fan, you're very aware that you're so in the bubble when it comes to a song, and you know the background and you were following when it was selected and you've been interacting with other Euro fans, but it's really important to observe how the casual viewer is viewing the song. And firstly, when we were at London Eurovision party, 2 of my friends from Dublin were with me, and they're not into Eurovision at all. I just kind of brought them along for fun. And I was quizzing them afterwards, what did you think? Who made an impact? Who was good? And both of them off the bat were like, Norway was the best of the night. Norway stole the show. They were so good. Some of the acts we weren't so keen on. Love Norway, both of them. And they have different music tastes. And then last night for the semi-final, as I was saying, I was out in Dublin, and there was some Euro fans in the venue we were in, but there was also casual viewers, and Norway got one of the biggest reactions. And when Fred started yoiking, people started clapping. So I just think it really has that audience appeal. They draw people in, and they've got the staging, I think, where they needed to get it. It didn't sound great beginning with the rehearsals, but they seem to have brought it all together just in the nick of time. So yeah, 10th to 15th is my
But
guess.
does it bring the casual viewers in? That's my question. Because
yeah.
I've always felt like Norway, because I think they've definitely improved on their performance, but I've always seen Norway as kind of like the Eurovision fan service this year. It's like the song that ticks all the boxes for an average Euro fan, but people from the outside, especially from people who don't know the Sami language or have any knowledge of the Sami language, will they get the song? Because I'm not sure they will.
I would compare it to your country the last year. I think I was saying this to somebody earlier on. Denmark last year with their song, a lot of people were saying that it kind of something similar. Is that a song that just appeals to Euro fans? But I heard a lot of casual viewers saying, yeah, I love the Viking song. So I'm wondering with Norway this year, could it be like the reindeer song? Do you know, because the big reindeer appears in the background and people will be going, this is a bit mad. I don't really know what the guy is shouting about, but it's kind of fun and it's a bit dancey. So, you know, I might throw out a few votes, and especially because it's coming towards the end of the final, isn't it? I'm trying to think of the running order. Can I confirm?
It is. If you
Song 15. It's
15, okay.
It's somewhere in
So
the middle.
it's kind of middling, but I think that's at the stage where the party's really going to kick off in the final. So you can imagine people at home, they've had one or two drinks at this stage, you know, the Eurovision party's kicking in, the Mad Reindeer song comes on and the man starts making all these noises and the audience are all dancing. You know, I'm hopeful for Norway anyway.
And do you know what? I'm going to have my fingers crossed for them. Do you know what? I've got my fingers crossed for so many countries. I just want them all to do really well. Now, normally I would go to one of you to get another country, but I'm going to be slightly selfish here. One of the countries I was most pleased to see get through to the final last night, and that's North Macedonia. They qualified for the first time since 2012 last night. It means that they have now only made the final 2 times in the last 12 years. So it's their only second entry, and I was absolutely thrilled to see them make it. And I'd love to hear the panel's views on North Macedonia. Do you know what? Let's go to Oban. Tamara, wasn't she just outstanding?
Tom, I had goosebumps all 3 minutes. I just can't tell how much I was proud for them, and it's just they created moment, and people that I get to talk about more Macedonia, then they talk about Russia, then they talk about Albania, and they talk about other favorites. So it's topic now. North Macedonia after the semi-final said it's a topic.
Do you know what? And I think I would go with that. I mean, Ariana, North Macedonia, is this a country that you were surprised to see make it through? Is this
Actually,
someone
yes.
on the radar?
I had predicted 8 out of 10 songs, and the 2 surprises were Denmark and North Macedonia. I wasn't expecting that, but I was really happy because I felt like it had such a strong message, and like goosebumps everywhere. The same with the other.
It's the message. Do you know what? You've picked up on that, and for me, it is the message of that song. I just think and it's got that. I know Nicholas will probably pick me up on this. Is it 6-8 in terms of music?
In terms of music, it was a 7 for me.
No, in terms of the time signature. So it's kind of like if you listen to the music, you know, sometimes you get that. It had a kind of almost like swing effect to it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just added to the appeal of it.
I just thought out of all of the artists last night, even Dear John from Sweden, her vocals, somehow she didn't suffer any kind of mic issues, or I don't know, but she absolutely wanted that last night. And as Owen says, proud of the song. sung it perfectly. I couldn't fault her. It was a magical performance and absolutely justified it got through. Yeah.
Now, Elliot, you've been monitoring the chat room for us this evening. What have the viewers and listeners got to say about what we've discussed so far?
Some are saying the show was really good, which I have to agree with. A lot of love for Malta, which is really nice to see. Some are saying they think it was between Albania and Romania for that 10th spot, for what you alluded to earlier. And someone has put they didn't like the Norway song because it's just a bit too weird. So it's really a song you love or you hate on first listen, it looks like, which I understand.
Like Marmite. Regular viewers of this show will know. Mitchell, who normally wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning in Sydney time, and he joins us on the panel. He sent us a shelf full of Marmite to describe some of the acts in tomorrow's grand final, which I think is true. I think it is. There are some Marmite type acts there. Elliot's mentioned them. We're going to press on and move on and look at Albania. They've qualified now 2 times on the trot. They missed out in 2016 and 2017. Second time round, Joninda gave a very, very assured vocal performance. Louise, what did you make of Albania last night?
I was shocked, to be honest with you. That was one of my shock non-qualifiers. Not that I'm not saying she didn't deserve it or the song isn't good. Her vocal was obviously flawless. I would imagine there was a big jury push for her. I think they could have done maybe a little bit more with the staging. For me personally, I just find that song very, very loud. However, Jonida is a very talented vocalist. It's a little bit of a shame, maybe her running order now being placed second in the final. I do wonder, does that indicate that she was maybe 9th or 10th qualifying in the semi-final? Obviously, all we can do at the moment on that is speculate. But yeah, it was a big shock for me. And I mean, even North Macedonia, I wasn't entirely expecting. So when they were in the first top 3 announced, I kind of went, whoa, who's going? For me, it indicated someone was going, and I would have probably had maybe Romania and Armenia in their places in my prediction. So, but fair play to her. I mean, it just shows you that Albania maybe are onto a winner in terms of sending a good vocalist with a song in their own language. And that's, to me, encouraged, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly something that it would be good to see more of, I think, these days, because I think sometimes it's, and I say this as a country that has benefited a lot over many years, as Ireland has, of being the countries whose native language is English. And I think that when certainly they got rid of the language rule 20 years ago, was something that people then swung into. There was a lot of English entries, particularly in those first few years. And I think it's nicer now with the victory we saw, like with Portugal, with Salvador winning Portugal and so on, to actually see people actually return back to their native languages.
Particularly because Albania, for a couple of years there, they'd select a really good song and then they'd do an English translation. And especially, was it Lendita? Was that 2015, 2016? And I loved her song. And then when they translated it, I kind of went, why? It was perfect in Albanian. So yeah, as you're saying, it's great they've gone back to it.
Now, I know someone else who was very pleased to see Albania qualify was Gustav, who mentioned what appeals about Albania's performance to you?
I mean, let's face it, it's a fantastic song if you just like listen to the song. And I was sure that it was a non-qualifier, so that was my moment of the night. I screamed like crazy. Actually, my dog ran under the bed and he was there for like the rest of the night because of that.
Oh,
yeah.
I just feel sorry for the dog now.
It was one of 2 goosebumps moments of that night. Yeah.
I have to say, having met Joninda at LEP, she is a very, very confident lady, and I think it just shone through in that performance, didn't it? She was there just to kind of power through and, you know, show what she could do. And I think that's one of the really good things. I think when we talk about artists, perhaps holding back their vocals slightly last night, because obviously if they went through last night, they're performing on something that actually counts tonight, because we've got jury final, obviously tomorrow night, grand final. So it's yeah, brilliant to see them there. And obviously we'll talk about the running order in a bit. Now, another country that made it through for the first time in a long time, really, is Switzerland. They qualified for the first time since 2014. And they, along with North Macedonia, have one of those qualification records that just make you go, oh. It's only the third time they've qualified since 2007 to the grand final. Luca Hani singing She Got Me. Do you know what? I'm going to play total devil's advocate with this. I'm going to go to Oban. Luca Hani, is this the real true Fuego 2.0?
Yeah, Tom, I was thinking is like I hope he's not gonna come to me on this one, because I hate comparisons. I hate it. I'm not gonna do comparison, but I'm gonna say in a positive way that it's Fuego meets Benjamin Ingrosso, camera angles and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's just amazing piece of work that Sasha John Baptiste with this performance. And it lifted up Switzerland. I think when the semifinals started, was losing the momentum they had, and then all of a sudden, bang, they're back on the top of the list of favorites. I am really happy for them, and I'm not gonna take it away the fact that the joy that they qualified after a very long time, and they really deserved it. He really worked it. The crew really worked it. And then there was a huge reception in the Eurovision village, even from the non-Eurovision fans. So they definitely deserved it.
Yeah. And Ness, do you see this? I mean, obviously, it's going to get Switzerland's best result in a long time. But
I like to call it, Tom, Swederland. Because honestly, when he walked on that stage with that background, exactly as Oban said, I thought, hang on. Oh, we're transported back. Benjamin. Yeah, I thought they pitched it exactly right. I've got a cheeky fiver on this one. I really have got quite a strong sense that this could do a lot better, because as Oban has said, he worked it, he owned it, he was confident about the song, and the song is extremely catchy first listen. And I know that because when I first listened to it, you know, I could recall it and play it back. So I think when the voting viewers are reminded of the song, that might just trigger them to vote immediately for it. So yeah, good song.
Do you know what? I'm going to see if your music taste marries up with Ariana's here. Ariana, is this something that's fitting into your bop this year?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Not too keen on Luca Hani's song.
Just his whole team, the whole team behind the Swiss entry is just, it has a lot of experience with Eleni Ferreira too, and she also is the Sasa Jean-Baptiste is also the stage director for the Cyprus this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're very experienced and they did their best with Luca.
Yeah, I think whatever happens, I mean, let's face it, he is always going to be one of their best entries in the last however many years.
He's very talented and charming. Yeah. He can do very good.
Yeah, it's much better than Apollo.
And I also have to say something I'm going to throw out there. Also, someone who's surprisingly short.
5'5" or something.
Yeah, because again, when Stuart and I were in Amsterdam, and we found ourselves stood next to Luca Hani at one point, and you almost missed him. It was like, oh,
turned around and No, he stepped on it.
Yeah, basically, it was one of the most genuine moments.
I'm glad I wasn't out there doing interviews because I'm 6 foot, so that would have looked horrible.
Like
have
a
to get him a box.
Lilliputian, as we say.
Yeah.
To be fair, he did a lot of them sat on a stool, and the interviewers tend
Fair enough. Probably the best idea.
Even it all out.
Bless
Now, we've got a couple more qualifiers just to look at. Interestingly, you know I'm one for patterns, people. Russia, last time they qualified to the final was 2016, and they were represented by one Sergei Lazarev. And they qualified last night, and they are represented by one Sergei Lazarev. Elliot, were you screaming for this one as they made it through for the first time in 3 years?
No, because I just kind of went, yeah, get the obvious ones out the way, because it's kind of similar to what I said last time, whereas like Sergei has completely changed his voice for a theatre now, because he works in theatre. That's what he does, and he's got a great theatre voice. The song is fine. The staging didn't elevate it for me. Like, people were raving about the staging. It's just okay. It's 9 Sergeis in a line.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, Jesus Christ, he's multiplied. I can only cope with one.
And talking of holding back, like he was definitely holding back and avoiding some big notes last night. He was not holding them. He was not going for it. He has come out and said he was unwell last night. Is he? I don't fully believe that, to be brutally honest, because he's been very quiet about it. And in comparison, if we look at Sarah McTurnan, who's been in and out of hospital the last 2 weeks, but still went out there and smashed it, for him to suddenly come back and say, oh, I'm ill, it's just like the timing of it just made me feel a bit, yeah. I think he was holding back because he felt like, okay, I'm going to get through. And he was going to get through, like no one was. I do think he's going to do better in the final, and he needs to do better. Otherwise, he is looking at a similar result to what Alexander Rybak got last year, which is about 15th, because it's just middle of the road at the minute. And that's how I felt listening to it last night. It was just fine. He did what he had to do, but he didn't like go in with any statement of intent to say like, I'm here to win. That's what I didn't get.
Let's go over to Nicholas on this one. Do you think this is almost like I'm looking at the staging and how everything was done, do you think Russia have learnt their lesson from 3 years ago when you had this very kind of overproduced, we're going to win the public over, and they've now kind of gone for, well, we're going to actually try and get a solid result on both sides of the scoreboard kind of thing?
You know, I think it's clear that they didn't want to just do what they did in 2016, because had they gone out and done something very similar to his first performance, everyone would have just said, you know, you're just doing the same thing again. This is boring. We don't want to see that. I like that they've taken a different approach, and they've to some extent also taken a risk with this song, because it's not what everyone expected when he was announced. I like the song. I'm one of the few that like the song. It's not the kind of song that I have on my Spotify playlist and I play over and over again. But it is the song is an experience in itself. Like I prefer watching the music video, watching the live performance, because you know, he conveys a lot of emotions in the song. Didn't think I was gonna see Sergei take a shower on stage. That's not what I expected when you know he was first announced. But that being said, I think what he does really well, you know, he's such a professional performer. He's done this so much. So obviously he's one of the people that can take this song and perform it in a way that makes you believe it. And I think that's why he comes across so well. And I think he'll do exceptionally well in the televoting, just like he did in 2016, because he is likable. And for someone to come from a country like Russia and be so likable, I mean, that's probably the loudest cheer we've heard in the arena for a long time when it comes to Russia. It's just nice to see. It's nice to see that we have a performer that can, you know, that's in the Eurovision spirit and that can just do a great job. I'm rambling now, but I don't know.
No, it's fine. Do you know what? I was just thinking how I'm going to segue us into the next song, because Sergei's sending a ballad, and it's lovely to see him get that cheer. And also, there's a simplicity to that performance which shows that it's almost like Russia aren't throwing lots of money at it to be whizzy and everything. They've actually got a song that's actually supposed to stand up on its own merit, kind of thing, without the too many gimmicks there. I think him climbing all over the stage and things was a bit too gimmicky 3 years ago, and I think that did put some people off, and I think it did put the juries off. Now, if we go to simplistic entries, one entry that is going to live or die by its simplicity is our favourite. I say our favourite, it may not be your favourite, it's not even my favourite, but in terms of the bookies, it definitely is their favourite, and that's Duncan Lawrence from the Netherlands, who sat behind a piano last night and delivered his ballad, Arcade. Is it going to be, Gustav, as clear-cut as some people would have you think from the Netherlands?
I mean, I hope so. That was my second goosebump moment of the night. It's a really good song, and it's one of the songs that I really liked from the start to now. I don't know. It's kind of whatever can happen tomorrow, but I hope it's the Netherlands. I really do.
Okay, and just bring Ariana in this. Is this a song where you see the televoters are going to pick up their phones and vote for it in their droves?
I think yes, because like I was disappointed when I saw the piano only and him singing, but I hadn't seen the light effect. And when I saw it on TV, I thought, whoa, this can totally win. I got the goosebumps. I felt like this can do it.
And let's just get Louise's view as well. Netherlands, screaming winner to you as well?
I think so. It's just so atmospheric. His live vocals, incredible. It's really, really good. The lighting is beautiful. Some really lovely shots of him. And I saw something earlier where somebody said the Irish commentator, Marty Whelan, Eurovision legend, when the performance finished, he said something like, a man, a piano, and a lamp. Sometimes that's all you need. And I think that sums it up really nicely. It's not fireworks, there's not pyro, there's not mad stuff going on, but it's just a beautiful song sung really, really well and staged beautifully, and definite goosebump moments, I would agree there. And it was very well received where I was as well. And I could tell you that venue I was in last night is a party venue, but it was still really, really well received. So I think we could be heading to Amsterdam or Rotterdam next year.
I'm hoping for Amsterdam. I've already looked at the flight times. It'd be great because with my job, I can't get time off during Eurovision. So this would be a very nice, simple flight across the
Ryanair,
the English Channel. Not Ryanair, actually. EasyJet.
Okay.
EasyJet are the ones to go. Other airlines are available, people. Now,
I just want to say, I think for me, the shot like towards the end after the lamp, where we have like that spotlight on him in the bridge towards the end. That's for me. That's my favorite staging moment of this year. I think it's exactly what just elevates the song. He put so much emotion into it. I think, I haven't watched that many performances back this year because I've been busy with other things. But like, this is one of the first things I did this morning was just like to rewatch it because it's so great. It's all I wanted from the Netherlands, and I really want this to win because it's such a beautiful song, and it's one of those songs that makes you feel something, and for me that's a winner.
Yeah, do you know what? I have to say that I think it's the same feeling I get every year with certain countries, and you see them put forward these entries, and for me what kind of sells it to me a little bit more is I like this kind of underdog thing of like they've not won for like 40 odd years, or they've never won before, and to me that actually I almost value more because you get to see a different country, and a different country gets to show off the diversity and the musical talents that they have the next year. And I think, is it part
they would be so happy?
They would be thrilled.
They
I know
would be so
thrilled.
thrilled. And for me, it's just like the whole moment for me when I just listen to that song and it's done, and I sit there almost with tears in my eyes thinking, you know what, I get it. I am a small town boy in a big arcade. It's just I can connect with the song, and I can connect with like Duncan, and I think he's such a great ambassador for the country.
Let's bring Ness in.
Yeah, do you know what? I like this song, but after the Common Linnets got absolutely cheated out of 2015, I'm kind of loath to invest in the Netherlands because I'll get all excited about having a nice chilled out weekend in Amsterdam, and they won't win, and then I'll be even more post Eurovision depressed than I usually get. It's a beautiful song. I don't know honestly whether it's that relatable to 220 million viewers. But I think, yeah, but I wish it all the best.
One thing I would say, Ness, sorry, teacher thing coming out here, was 2014 for the Common Linnets.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Please do correct me. There are about 1,000 songs in my head. Yeah.
But I do think the Common Linnets actually represents a watershed for the Netherlands, because I think it was at that point.
Oh, it was Walk Away 2015 that didn't qualify, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Have I redeemed myself?
You have redeemed yourself, my lovely.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry.
But what I was going to say was that I think 2014 was a watershed for the Netherlands, because I think it was actually the entry that kind of made people think that it was possible for the Netherlands to actually win the contest again.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think they had so many entries before where they'd sent, to be honest, some cracking songs that I don't think got the recognition they deserved as well. The one that stands out for me is Edisila Rombley's On Top of the World, which I think is an underrated track. And I think it was the moment when they thought, okay, the Netherlands could actually do this. I think they've been very much a sleeping giant for the last few years, ready to awaken and take us all by storm. Now, we have one qualifier left to do, guys, before we move on to the non-qualifiers. I know this is turning into an endurance test, but it's Azerbaijan. They failed to qualify last year for the first time ever. Chingiz has put them back in the act. They're sailing through to the grand final. Let's get a quick rundown of views from it. Let's go to Oben. Oben, Azerbaijan, what were your thoughts?
Absolutely winner performance. I love everything about Azerbaijan. He's likable. He's an artist. He's a good vocalist. There is a modern element to the song. There's ethnic element to the song. There's visual, both him and the stage. And
he looks like your brother, Oben.
Much better looking one.
No.
I need a husband, not a brother like him. Anyway, and so yeah, I think for me, if it's not going to be Cyprus, it can be Azerbaijan. I will be happy.
And Elliot, do you think? Let's be honest, Azerbaijan has been known for its somewhat eccentric staging at various points over the last decade. Certainly the last few years. Do you think this was Azerbaijan returning to basics, as it were?
Yeah, because I feel the polar opposite to Oben, and I do not like what they've done with the staging one little bit. I do not get this at all, to be honest. I think the song is mediocre. I think he sings it mediocre. The staging is just a gimmick. Like, why are there robot arms on stage? Why is there this, for lack of a better word, 80s cheesy sci-fi beaming up moment? Like, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense to me whatsoever.
Do you not think, in some ways, that I do disagree, because I think he does sing it well. I do think sometimes the robots are a little bit on the distracting side. But do you think in some ways, if you look at the appeal that we've got of some of the global brands out there, and I'm thinking like Netflix, Stranger Things, for example, which has really kind of brought the 80s kind of back to the forefront of people's minds, do you think this is their attempt to try and reconnect with the public after last year's disappointment and actually do something that's going to offer some kind of appeal there?
I think so, because they've done that with the song. Because last year with X My Heart, Cross My Heart, Cross My Heart, it sounded very dated, and I think that's what cost them their spot in the final. This, on the other hand, does sound very current and very radio friendly. So I will applaud them on that. They have been smart and gone down the mainstream route. But it's just so by numbers, and like it's just the typical Azerbaijani thing of they've got a good looking person singing a mediocre song. Like in my mind, they have not sent an absolute brilliant song since Sabina Babayeva. That's been the best vocalist they have ever sent, in my mind.
But
I think it's just gonna get mid-table at the end of the day, because it's fine, but I don't see many people jumping to this.
True, but then I'm gonna throw this to who shall I pick on? So I'm going to go to Nicholas. Do you think this is a case of Azerbaijan actually almost going back to the idea of, okay, we seem to have lost our way here. Our aim is to make it to the grand final and use that as a building block for future success next year?
Yeah, let's just get them to the final for whatever cost that may be. No, I agree 100% with Elliot here. I think while I do like the song, I think the staging it doesn't fit the song at all. I don't get it. I think it's cheesy and boring, and just it's not what I want from this song. And I don't, you say his vocals sounded great. I couldn't hear them. All I hear is the backing singers, because we've seen all the clips of him not really being able to do that falsetto very well. So I think they've just like the same they did with, what was her name? The girl who sang Miracle in 2016.
Samra.
Samra. Where they turn up the backing vocals, so you don't really notice the fact that their main vocalist cannot sing. No, I think it's a shame, because I really like Cross My Heart, and I really like when, and I think one of my favorite songs, Drip Drop, is one of my favorites. Always from 2009 is one of my favorites. I like Azerbaijan when they are Azerbaijan. I don't like them when they are Sweden 2.0, because that doesn't say anything about the country. And there's so much culture, so much cool Turkish music coming out of Azerbaijan. Turkey isn't in the competition anymore. Azerbaijan really has that. They have the possibility to send those Turkish songs that we love and could go really well, but instead they just sent this, which is just anyone could have sent that, and it makes me sad. I want them to go back to sending something that represents them.
Well, we're going to have our fingers crossed for next year. I'll be honest, I like the entry. Am I going to pick up the phone and vote for it? No, is the honest answer. And I think that is the problem with a middle of the road entry. I think essentially sometimes is that you have these entries that people find non-offensive, but people won't actually pick up the phone and vote for them. Anyway, people, we need to move on. We've spent an hour discussing the qualifiers from last night. We have to give some attention to the fallen, the countries that sadly did not make it. And alas for us, it was Armenia, Ireland, Moldova, Latvia, Romania, Austria, Croatia, Lithuania. Louise, who were you most disappointed to see go home last night?
Let me see. Based on personal taste, I really liked the Romanian song, and I really connected with it. I'm usually not a ballad type of person, but I did actually quite like that song. So I was a little bit disappointed for Romania. I do understand why it didn't qualify. And then I suppose also it would have been nice to have seen Ireland qualifying, but again, I can understand how we didn't. So yeah, they would have been my two picks. Everybody else, I was kind of, I can understand why they didn't quite make the chop.
I mean, do you think the staging was a bit too much with
for
Romania?
Ireland?
Well, we both actually.
Romania, no, I think it was fine. I actually think it was slightly toned down from the national final, which nearly was better, because I remember in my reaction video for Romania, I remember saying there's just so much going on. So it was a little bit better this time around, particularly with the revamp in mind. Ireland, I remember I said straight afterwards that actually I said, here lads, that wasn't too bad, which would be somewhat of a compliment for me, because I personally wasn't mad on the the comic strips concept and the diner and that kind of thing. When I first heard we were doing it, I thought, oh, it's a little bit cheesy. I think they pulled it off well, considering everything they put into it. But yeah, I just like, my main thing is on the back of the non-qualification. I just wish that the Irish public and the Irish media, and I know you experience it similarly in the UK, I just wish people would get behind our act a little bit more. To me, it doesn't really matter that she didn't qualify. I think she did a really good performance that she can be proud of. And I think she represented us really well. She was so kind to the fans whenever we met her and to the press, and interacting with everybody on social media and just really giving her time to people. So I don't know, Sarah, if you're watching this, you did a good job and I'm proud of you.
Yeah, and I had, you know what, that is, I think, one of the most important things is that all of these artists, whether they go through or not, they spend a lot of time in that Eurovision bubble, and you know what, they are all bloody good ambassadors for their country.
I want to be Sarah's friend. She looks like the most fun on a night out, can I say, as well.
She is. I was with her at London Eurovision party.
Michael Rice, I think, could tell you something about that, because him and Sarah, I think, have been a bit like that in terms of their drinking. So
get back into the
now, Elliot, you have been monitoring the chat room for us. What is the chat room saying about everything that we've covered so far?
I have. Well, first and foremost, Stuart and Martin seem to be giving a rundown of the jury final play-by-play, which is lovely to read. Apparently, Macedonia can get top 10 after that performance tonight. So there's that. So they're just giving us that. So people are saying the Netherlands is a possible winner. The simple staging works in their favour. Someone said they don't really like Azerbaijan. I don't really remember it from last night, so it clearly did make an impact. And Joanne's popped up to say the semi-final was an amazing quality, and she just puts "Go Norway." So she's definitely on the Kaino train.
Ah, yes.
Well, then everything is like it's supposed to be.
I was going to say, all is right with the world. Let's go across to Ness. Ness, who were you most most disappointed to see go home last night? Oh, no, I think she's not there at the moment. We will come back to Ness. We'll go to Ariana instead. Who were you most disappointed to see go home last night?
Armenia. Even though I know that her vocals were not so good and the staging was not so good, but it was one of my favorite songs this year, and I really felt sad for Armenia.
Do you think they were negatively impacted by going on first last night?
Yeah, because this semifinal is much stronger than the first one, and I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to pass to the final, and she wasn't eventually.
I mean, I'm going to bring let's go to Elliot on this. Bring Elliot in on this. I'm looking at the statistics from last night, and I found it very interesting to note that 1 out of the first 6 songs qualified, but all 6 of the last 6 made it through last night. Is that, some people will just come out and go, that's because they had the best songs? Is that the case? Or do you think, in actual fact, if the running order was different, would we have seen some different qualifiers there?
I definitely think if the running order was different, yes, we would have. I think the thing, because if we look at the 5 and the 6 that all went out, they were all female mid-tempo / ballads. So they were all battling for the same points and cancelled each other out. That's why Lucas stood out and probably just completely, like Oben said, he was a bolt of energy. So he caused this wave that just wiped them all out. I feel like they were all just so similar in the sense of they were these, all of them great voices, all unique voices, but they were all just so similar that if you weren't paying attention, they could have easily bled into one another. I feel like Moldova transcended into Ireland really easily, so that kind of got lost. I feel like Romania was just, I think that's what helped Leonora in the end, because all these staging as well were all quite dark, apart from Ireland, whereas Leonora was this really bright, colourful, happy staging with this bright poppy song. So that's what made her stand out. And with the final 6 going through, I think it's just because, to be brutally honest, they all just stepped it up. Like, I didn't expect Albania to get through. I wasn't expecting Norway, but I think it's because if they all go for it enough, they all got through. But I do feel like if the running order was different and some acts were in different halves, we would have had a different 10 at the end of the night. And I think that's why the voting was so close last night.
Now, Ness, where do you think Moldova go from here? Because Moldova actually, I think, have been the surprise package of Eurovision for a couple of years now. We had the Sunstroke project, Hey Mama, which I know you were a massive fan of. We had Doridos last year with the fantastic opening and closing doors and things like that. This year they had Anna Obdescu stay. They had a stand artist on stage. There was a simplicity to it. Where do they go from having failed to qualify though?
Oh, it's so hard for them. I miss Moldova. It's a beautiful song, absolutely stunning song. But it just didn't stand out, as we've said. I think this semi-final too, for me, probably the strongest to date, actually. I think she needs to go back and clearly continue to perform in whatever, shows and, performances that she does at home. But she shouldn't criticise herself, because I thought she delivered that song beautifully as Tamara, actually. And I always knew it was going to be between those two in terms of, two strong female vocalists. But a bit like Claudia, wasn't it, with Breathlessly, it's an acquired taste. I think you either love that kind of song, and if you do, you're in the minority of the audience. Because, you have to listen to it with candles and, a glass of red wine and things like that, not frenetic drinking games of which language the next song's going to be in or who's wearing the silliest outfit. So I apologise for the delay. I had to sillet bang the other cleaning products are available, the bath in an emergency bath situation, the joy of having children. So apologies for my absence. I was listening while sillet banging.
That's fine. And obviously, as we said, other cleaning products are available.
Bang, and the dirt is gone.
Exactly. Let's just go to Gustav on this. One of the non-qualifiers last night was Latvia. And I was looking at this. Latvia have only qualified twice to the final since 2009. They qualified with Aminata in 2015, came 5th. She actually then wrote the song for Just Heartbeat the following year. Is this another country that is going to have to really do something special in order to break through into the grand final?
Yeah, I think all countries have to do something special to break through at some point. Personally, I love Latvia's song. But you guys know me. I love ballads and slow songs. That are my thing. So it was expected, but and it's also probably because it's that mellow. And as Elliot said, it was a lot of like that kind of songs in between with female vocalists and stuff like that.
Do you think there was anything Latvia could have done to actually have made that stand out a bit more on stage? For them, because it was let's face it, it was a good song, but as Elliot said, it was the battle of the ballads. Was there something more they could have actually done?
I wish that they would have kept the staging from their national selection when it was like black and white and you only saw a part of her face in that, because that was magical. It really connected with at least me. They should have kept it that way.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? I think that would have actually connected more. It was, it was. I mean, very competent performance, but really just missed the mark, and it was a shame to see that. Now, someone else who missed the mark and sadly has actually resulted in the first non-qualification of this country since 2013. Was Panda from Austria, and we have been, or certainly some of us, Stuart has been a very long-term supporter of this song. She sung her very delicate ballad Limits last night. Oban, was there anything else Panda could have done to have actually got through?
Tom, among the non-qualifiers that shocked me, I was thinking of Armenia. I was thinking of Ireland. Then Armenia, yeah, it was a lame staging. Ireland, yeah, it was a beautiful moment, sweet, cute moment, but just not enough in the semi-final. But I just can't find an excuse why Austria didn't qualify last night. It was a perfect moment for her and for her song. I don't think there's any other artistic vision for this song that could work. It was magical, and it was in my top 10 for last night. But I'm gutted to see Austria not making through. This was a good year for that, I thought.
I think do you know what? The one thing I think it's always a shame, and I said it with Portugal on Wednesday, and I'm going to say it with this as well. It's always a shame when you have a country that has been doing really well, and I know Portugal, okay, they didn't last year, but they were hosting it. I mean, but a country that has been very at the forefront of everyone's minds for so long, it's never nice to see them kind of not miss that mark. And if you think about Austria, I mean, last year, okay, ORF will probably absolutely shocked when Caesar Sampson topped the jury vote. But to see them go out and knowing how talented she is as well. And she made use of the triangles. I don't know if anyone noticed that on the panel, that she actually made use of the triangles. One of the few countries that has done as well so far. And
it worked.
Yeah. And you had that beautiful moment of it lighting up. And that was the moment they picked for the recap as well. And I thought that was a shame. Now,
terrible shame.
One more non-qualifier to look at, and that is poor Lithuania. It's only their second time of non-qualifying in 5 years. It was Jerzy with Run with Lions. Nicholas, this guy had a winning smile, surely. Was there anything he could have done to have actually got through in the end?
I think there's a lot of things that you could probably point out. Oh, the staging should have been better. Oh, this, oh, that. I thought this could actually go and be one of the surprise qualifiers because, I mean, after we saw Estonia go through with something that was very radio friendly with no staging at all, I thought, oh, this is the same situation, right? I think, I really like the song. Actually, it's not one of my favorites, but if I were to do a top 20, I'm pretty sure it would be in there just because it's a simple radio friendly song, but I think he sings very well. He's a great vocalist, and this song definitely shows off his vocals and what he can do. No, I just think had this been put in the first semifinal, then I think it could have possibly qualified. But I think it was just unlucky for Lithuania, and I think for Lithuania, but I think the same can be said for Romania and Austria. Like, they were just put in the semifinal where everyone's focus were on the big favorites, and we wanted to see if they could do well.
Yeah. So
it was too hard. It was too hard to get through for a country like Lithuania, and I think it's a shame because it would have given something nice and friendly to the final.
Yeah, I know. It is a shame to see them go out, but as you said, they were very much stuck in, and we did say this, that semi-final 2 was that, semi-final of death. I think the phrase I used, there was always going to be tears before bedtime last night. And I think with a few of them, I'm definitely on the money. Now, we've covered the whole of semi-final 2. We're going to look at the running order in just a moment for the grand final. Elliot, chat room, I hear we've got a question.
Yeah, it's a slight odd one from Martin, and I guess just one we could have picked up from last night. But he said, when you watch tomorrow, see if you think that the Netherlands postcard sounds like the Macarena. I can answer this. It does sound like the Macarena, and you can probably dance to it. So tomorrow, when Duncan is before Duncan goes on, and his postcard music sounds just like it.
And Elliot, would you care to just demonstrate that Macarena dance for us? Just in case?
I mean, it's not as good as Chameleon Dance. I'm working on that one, but you know. That's
Hey. We'll give Ali a quick round of applause, please, guys.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
Right, guys, let's get down to business then. The running order. Oh my goodness. Nicholas talked about it being the semi-final of death, but one of the things we've also got to take into account is that because of the way that they do the running order, they pick out the bowl, whether they're going to go in the first half or the second half, and because so many countries in the first semi-final got second half draws, it meant that those favourites have mostly ended up with first half draws tomorrow night.
So now we have the first half of death.
We do have the first half of death.
The first semi-final scored 5 and 5 in the first half and the second half in the final. But the big
automatic
five,
qualifiers, yeah.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
the big five that really, yeah.
I have my own theories on that, and the only way it would work would be if you, do you know what? I'm going to throw this open to the panel here. That if you actually had a bowl with 3 first half and 3 second half in, that you got the big five and the host nation to pick out of, and then based on the scroll that the host nation picked out, had a bowl with either 1 to 13 or 14 to 26 in, so they could still pick their position in the running order. I mean, what do the panel think? Would that be a fairer way of deciding it, or should they all pick out of the same bowl?
I think that would be fair to an extent, but at the same time, that like people are saying it was rigged that only Germany fell into the first half, and I don't understand how you can rig a bowl full of scrolls. Like they all went from the same bowl, so I'm not sure how.
It's the EBU; they have to verify these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, in my opinion, the weakest song of the big five was stuck in the first half, and it is just unfortunate that's how it fell. But it's the way that we do it, I think, is the fairest chance, because then the delegations can't say, oh, we've been screwed over because we're in the first half and our biggest competition's in the second half. It's like, well, you did that to yourself because you yourself picked out that scroll. I mean, do a Lucy Jones, pick it out, have a panic attack and throw it back in. Best moment ever.
I just want to say, and I say this every single year, I think we as Euro fans, we put way too much focus on the running order. It seems like it's the most important thing that can make or break anything. And I don't believe that's true, especially not now where people can watch the performances on YouTube, but they can gather all this information about the performances. I don't think it matters that much. And I see a lot of people talking about every single year, oh, we should go back to the random draw. Do you want to hear 8 similar ballots in a row? No, you don't. This is a TV show first and foremost, and the reason that the running order is done this way is to make sure that they put on an exciting show that works for TV and that keeps people engaged, and that works. And they are really great at it. The team that's been doing it for the past couple of years are really great at it. So I think
thing I'm going to come back at you on that ever so slightly, Nicholas, is that because you said that in this age of YouTube and things like that, but your casual Eurovision voter, are they going to spend their time looking up these performances on YouTube before the night? Or are they going to...
Do we really expect people to have such a short attention span that when we reach song 26, they've forgotten everything they've heard previously?
Yes, and I can tell you...
Fair enough.
I can tell you, I'll give you a synopsis, right? A really short synopsis on the average UK viewer, because I've got many friends who go, Eurovision, oh God, you like Eurovision, what's wrong with you? So essentially how it works in the UK is they go down the pub, they come back, they have a takeaway, they've already missed half of the performances, and then they watch the second half, usually probably the last 6 to 8 songs, and then they base their votes on the recaps, which is why the recaps is so important. And then they vote in a drunken state, and then we go to whichever country next year. The end.
Luckily, we're one of 41 then.
No, we need to allow Nicholas to come back on that.
What can I say? She's made a point. No, I don't know. See, I think it's just for me because I feel like there's been put like so much focus on the running order, and then like a couple years ago we had like a few years where it was like 9th place, 10th place, 11th place that won. It's like, and I feel like that has proven that these things don't matter. What I will say, however, is that I do think it matters who you are up against, because if you are a more quiet, toned down song and you're in between, let's say, Australia and Iceland, just to put an example, like anyone going, if they had been put like together and you had someone that had to be sandwiched in between Australia and Iceland, they probably wouldn't have gotten the same amount of votes, because what do you remember? You remember Australia and Iceland. That part I do think matters.
You mean like the United Kingdom, who's sandwiched between Norway and Iceland?
Yes, and I mean, yes,
Yeah.
and like when Anja Nissen from Denmark was sandwiched in between Ochidiranis Karma and Salvador Sobral, which I'm still not over.
And also,
I wasn't okay.
And I hate to lump it on you as well, because the example I've got, which actually almost proves your point as well, and you. Showing my age ever so slightly, so I am going to apologise to the younger ones amongst you. 2002,
Yes.
Denmark sent Tell Me Who You Are, and the song itself sounded great and fantastic, and when the recaps were played back, it turned out it was sandwiched between two songs, and it felt like you'd basically put the song and just kind of slowed it down 500%. It just felt the whole thing had just gone.
Yeah, speaking of things I'm not over, that I think it's one of our best entries that we've sent, I think, and especially the Danish version as well is extremely beautiful. Yeah, it was a shock to everyone. I remember it. I was little, and I still remember how big of a shock it was.
She came last. She was 7 points. That's
horrible.
I do think this running order has benefited one country in particular in a televote sense, and this is why I think it's going to be like Denmark from last year, and that is Kano, because you've got 4 ballads. You've got the Netherlands, then you've got Greece, and I don't understand why the Netherlands and Greece have been put next to each other, because they're both stunning, strong ballads. Like Katalin, I think I would love it if she wins.
Yeah.
But you've got the Netherlands, then you've got Greece, and then you've got Israel. So you're going on this real slow curve. Then you go up here with Norway, and then you're straight back down with the United Kingdom. So, and then when you come to the recap, like Ness said, you're going to see that jolt of energy, and that's all you're going to remember.
Yeah.
I mean, the juries will respect Catherine's voice, Duncan's voice, and Michael's and Kobe's. Will the televote? No.
Well, do you know what? It just so happens we have someone from Greece on the panel. Ariana, what do you make of Greece's position in the running order? Do you think it's going to affect Catherine's chances?
I don't know. I think that Greece's position is not good because Netherlands is a huge, I don't know how to say that in English, but you know what I mean. Favorite. It's a huge favorite. Yeah. And after that we have Israel. Israel is not the best, but I think Netherlands being before us is not good because everybody's gonna remember Netherlands.
Yeah.
I think the staging is beautiful for Greece. I really do, and I think that will stand out in people's minds.
I liked our staging, but I had a problem with the dancers that had the shorts. I don't understand them, to be honest.
Nobody understands the music video, Ariana.
I don't understand the ball still. Maybe that's why
pink.
Yeah, the ball too.
Maybe that's why Greece bought the ball, so they can stand out because it's the ball they're throwing to the crowd. Maybe that's what it was all along.
Yeah.
We did on a previous show, and we did actually find out that the story behind Greece's video and thing was something to do with the Renaissance or something. But you are not alone, because we had not a clue. It didn't really demystify it for us at all. We just decided we liked the song.
Yeah, the song's great. We wrote Better Love is one of the better entries this year, in my opinion.
It's a great song. I haven't seen the music video since the first time I saw it.
Right, guys. Winners and losers from the running order.
Tom, can I just jump in there? Then I wanted to comment on Nicholas's comment because I think it's too naive to think that running order doesn't matter. It's 50% of winning the competition. And I think it's a competition more than it's a show. It's a competition that takes place on TV, and taxpayers pay money to see their country succeed and pay for everything. And there's so much people invest directly or indirectly. And I think if it's gonna be bad luck for San Marino to follow Hatari or some big, it's a bad luck. But it's decided by a small elite, and I think this is not fair for these countries. And I think everybody should get their chance to decide, at least as have a saying on where they go on stage. I totally am against the way that is happening right now. I miss the good old days when their countries draw the number and exactly where they land. And I'm totally against that small elite decides the good show, which is basically a taste.
Would that not
matter of
mean,
taste.
though, Oban? I mean, I'm referring to some of my favourite contests here, but would that not mean that just Cyprus would end up opening the contest the whole time? Because like 1997 is one of my favourite contests. You had Malamu opening it. 2002 again, one of my favourite contests, and you had Gimme opening it. And let's not
Which was
forget
a great
Canada
opener.
It
No,
was-
no, no. I'm not saying about opening or closing or going first or last. I'm just saying wherever it happens, it may be your luck or your bad luck, but it should be upon to the contestant, not the organizers, because it's at the end of the day, it's a contest that happens on TV, that takes place on TV. So
Anyway.
I will say this though. I'm under the strong belief that if a song is good enough, it can win from any position it is given.
True.
So
Yeah.
put it in a bad spot and see. Put Sweden on first. I'd have loved to have seen him do that. If Sweden's such a good song and such a runaway winner, why didn't he open the final tomorrow? It would have been a great opener.
I was going to throw my 2 cents though and say that I agree with Nicholas to a point. It is a TV show, and I completely understand why producers step in and do what they do. I think it makes a lot of sense. You want to have someone good opening the show to draw viewers. You want to have someone good closing the show to end the show on a good note. I don't think it impacts on the winner. I think more than likely, if you're going to win, you're going to win, even if you're thrown in second or third. That might be controversial. I think it affects the rest of the results. Does that make any sense?
No, it does, because I think if you've got a song that is quite well hyped up and people are behind it, then people will tune in to see it from regardless whatever position it comes in. But at the same time, that's also going to affect the songs they see around it as well, because if that's where their interest is peaking, then what about the songs that appear after it or before it and things? Because let's face it, as all Eurovision fans know, this can be an endurance test sometimes.
I think I will say one more thing about that, and that is, I will say that I think it's unfortunate that which semifinal the song's going to be performed in, that is drawn way before we know any of the songs, because it does mean that we end in a situation like we did this year, where we have all the favorites put into one semifinal, and I think that's a shame. And I think they could improve on that format. Also, I don't believe the whole thing that they say, oh, they're doing it because they don't want countries voting for each other. We had Denmark, Sweden, and Norway in the same semifinal, so like clearly doesn't work.
And they all got through.
Also Greece and Cyprus.
Yeah,
exactly.
Serbia, Montenegro.
Yeah. Now, winners and losers on this running order, people. Just as because we're hurtling towards a closure. Ness, who do you think the winners are? Who do you think the losers are for you in the running order of the grand final?
Okay, so I think at least 3 or 4 out of the last 6 to perform will finish in the top 5. And then I think Czech Republic possibly, because it's third and it's a bit different. And randomly, I think Iceland might get 5th or 6th place. Don't ask me why. I just think people are weird as the years go on.
Okay, Oban, winners and losers on this running order.
I think there are a lot of winners. They got a lot of the decisions, and I'm happy to see Italy, Azerbaijan, and Malta as position. And it's good position in running order, and I think it can support them.
Okay, Nicholas, winners and losers.
Biggest winners, I think Australia definitely got a good position. I think the Netherlands has an okay position as well, being one of the big favorites. Spain closing the show, I think, will do really well for them because people will remember the performance. It's such a fun way to end the show that people remember it for that. Biggest losers, like we already talked about, United Kingdom, of course. That's a bit unfortunate. And yeah, I think a country like Albania as well, performing second, that won't do them any good, I don't think. So yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Louise, winners and losers.
Losers, I'm just looking here. There's a little section: Germany, Russia, Denmark, San Marino, North Macedonia. As Vanessa made the point about people missing the first half, I think a lot of them are going to get missed and lose out on some televote points as a result. Albania could be in trouble second, with Malta and Czech Republic on either side. They're just far more interesting entries, in my opinion. So it's not good for Albania to be sandwiched in there. That second half of the whole final is just so strong. I mean, just looking here: Azerbaijan, France, Italy, Serbia, Switzerland, Australia, Spain, Stream Lavenda. They are all winners, I think. And I wouldn't be too worried for Greece being beside the Netherlands. I think that's a good sign for Greece that they probably did well in the semi-final, that they were put down the end. And I think Greece is different enough to the Netherlands to stand in its own right beside it. So, yeah, I think I've named nearly every country in the final there. But vote, please.
Ariana, winners and losers.
My losers were Slovenia, because it's between two very favorite songs. It's between Sweden and Cyprus. And UK, of course, because it's between a ballad. No, it's between Norway, that's a very strong song, and Iceland, that's something very different than every other song that we have here. My winners are Spain, because it's closing the whole contest, and it makes you want to dance, and that's very good. Everybody's going to remember it. Switzerland also, and Australia, because they are the three of them, Spain, Australia, and Switzerland, are amazing songs, and I think they are winners.
It's do you know what? I think I'm going to be lining up shots at the bar at that point. Amazing way to.
Can I have a Sambuca shot, Tom, please?
I don't know if I need. I might.
We can do a kitty. We can do a kitty, 20 quid each.
We'll discuss it tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No,
sorry, not on the show.
Well,
We're not encouraging drinking.
Yeah. Other forms of drink are available. First up, winners and losers in this smorgasbord draw.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like everyone else and say that Australia is the winner and UK is the loser. Plain and simple.
Oh, thanks, Gustav. Tap.
And finally, Elliot.
Right. I'm going to be very controversial here, and I honestly think one of the losers is Sweden, and this is why. You've got... Yeah, I know. I went there. You've got Tamara with a very powerful ballad, and Slovenia with something very intimate and shot beautifully from the semi-final. John's big, loud, plastic pop song could just look very cheap in comparison, to be brutally honest. I think Albania, sandwiched between Malta and Czech Republic, with their two very similar, brightly coloured lit stagings, is going to get lost in between that sea of colour, personally. I think Israel has lost out because it's the third of three ballads. And by then, okay, we've had Netherlands, we've had Greece. When people realise, oh, it's another ballad, I think they're instantly going to switch off. And then you've got Kaino to bring it back up, as I've said before. UK, obviously, not done great. Winners, I mean, that final three is like an absolute cardio workout if you ever need one for a quick 10 minutes. I think people are going to break limbs, be on the floor. You know, it's just going to be an absolute night. And I will be dancing like a nutter to all three of them as well. So I will be on the floor. And as much as I'm not happy they're opening, I do think Michaela opening the final is very good because it's a very friendly pop song. You know, people are going to be hearing this for the first time and they're going to go, oh, this is Eurovision now. That's actually really good. And I could hear this outside of Eurovision. And it'll keep people engaged to watch the rest of the contest. And, you know, the fact she's gone on first and she will set that bar very high as well if she can do what she did last night.
Shows producers have faith in her as well, I think.
Yeah.
Can I just say, why doesn't the girl from Slovenia blink?
You know what?
And I'll tell you what, if he ever
Wednesday.
dumps her, If he ever dumps her, he needs to leave the country. Seriously, bless him.
My
She's
my
so
friend
intense. I love it.
my
Reminds
friend
me of when I was
described
a
him.
teenager.
My friend described him as a pair of pillowcases on stage. It was all white, and I didn't know how to respond to that. I just laughed.
Now, guys, I'm going to have to throw in my tuppence worth.
Come
as
on,
well
Tom.
into this.
Who's the winner? Who's the
Right.
loser?
These are the ones that I think have won out of this draw. I think the Czech Republic have won in terms of the draw because I think they're between Albania and Germany, and I just think it's the same thing that happened in semi-final 1 when they came on. Their performance is so bright and colourful; it stands out like an absolute breath of fresh air. For the same reason, I think San Marino actually are going to be on course for their best ever result because you have that real simplicity of Denmark. You have the North Macedonian strong ballad, but then you have San Marino, which I think certainly for English and British Eurovision fans sums up everything they think Eurovision is actually supposed to be about, which is probably a view that's dated somewhere around 1969. But they think the song should be like say na 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 na. You know, it's if they don't get points,
lonely.
yeah, if they don't get points from the UK, I'm going to be absolutely shocked.
You know well.
Also, on my winners list, I think France have got a very plum draw between Azerbaijan and Italy. And in actual fact, I think Israel is going to stand out. And I think, and this is the reason, is because Kobe's performance and Kobe's voice is so... I mean, he is a musical theatre star in Israel. And his voice stands out a lot with that song. It's very strong. And I think it will stand out by virtue of it. And I think they've got a good draw there. As for the United Kingdom, I do think we have lost a little bit on that. The only thing that consoles me slightly, apparently there is a break between the UK and Iceland. And also, one of my colleagues at work today was shown the Icelandic entry for the first time and actually said, my children stay up to watch the show, and I'm not really sure I really want them to see that performance. So you heard that one here.
It's post Watershed though, so they can't send any complaints to the BBC, I guess.
Okay. Other losers in this draw, I think Russia have lost out between Germany and Denmark. I don't think that's going to stand out enough. And also, I think, and I hate to say it, I think Switzerland are also a loser in this draw. And I think, yes, they are towards the end. But
Tom, can I just say for the record,
go on.
I think Australia will win, Germany will come last, and then we're all off to Berlin next year.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Especially given the fact when I checked back at the bets that I've made throughout the Eurovision season, I took 28-1 on Australia, apparently, whilst slightly worse for wear a little while ago. But I'll tell you why I think Switzerland's one of the losers in it. I think you have Navina with her absolutely stunning Galaxy effect going on. Very strong ballad. You have Australia with those pogo sticks. And I think where Switzerland will fall down, it's the same thing that Benjamin Ingrosso suffered from last year. It looks like you've all of a sudden tuned into MTV, and it looks like a music video as opposed to a song that's being performed on stage. And I think that's where it could lose some of its appeal in that draw. But let's face it, time will tell.
Not much time now.
Not much longer. I can...
This time tomorrow?
The only thing I wish everyone is sleep, because I feel like I need to actually make sure I get a lot of sleep tonight, because I'm not going to get a lot
Tom,
of sleep.
we're getting finish this photo.
Oh, yes.
5 a.m. 5 a.m, Tom.
So, good luck to every single artist in tomorrow night's grand final. The majority of them have already performed this evening, and I hope their performances have gone absolutely fantastically well. For those people that are listening to us on catch up, maybe we are your Eurovision warm up show. We'd like to think we are. And don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons. You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can listen to us again on Spotify, on Twitcher.
Stitcher.
That's the one.
That's the one. Stitcher. And tune in as well. Which leaves me now just to thank my panel. A massive thank you to our brand new panelists. A big thank you to Ariana.
Thank you.
A massive thank you to Gustav.
Thank you for tonight, everyone.
Thanks to Louise.
Thank you. Please vote for Spain and Malta.
Thanks to Nicholas.
Thank you.
Thanks to Oben.
Totaba, Israel.
Thanks to Ness.
Ευχαριστώ, καλά νύχτα.
And a big thanks to Elliot, who's been monitoring the chat room this evening as well.
Thank you. And I'll just go on what's been said quickly. Joanne's been in touch and said the winners are Australia and Spain, and that's it. And the losers are, oh God, Malta, Russia, Albania, the Czech Republic, and Norway, the UK. And also, according to Stuart, they may have to run Norway again in the jury final due to a camera issue. They missed quite a few camera shots. They may be rerunning their jury performance tonight, but they're currently at Zena, I think it is, so Belarus.
Interesting. Other things you need to make sure. So, I know avid viewers of the show have 8 o'clock Tuesday this week, obviously, in their diaries. That was semi-final 1. Then we were here 8 o'clock on Wednesday. 8 o'clock was semi-final 2 last night. 8 o'clock this evening. We were here tomorrow night, obviously 8 o'clock, or should I say 9 o'clock actually, Central European time. You would have been hopefully tuned in to us. We're back on Sunday, 8 p.m. BST. That's 9 p.m. CET. And if you're still in Israel, it'll be 10 p.m. over there. Thank you again to all of my panelists this evening for an absolutely fantastic show. And come on, guys. Less than 24 hours to go. And we will see you all on the flip side.
Let the Eurovision Song Contest begin.
Bye.
Take